inspiration for this particular talk. So I'm like, okay, so I'm ready. I'm ready for us to like
All
really
right, let's go.
get into the shit.
Well, I guess one of the things I kind of wanted to ask you, and you can go ahead and answer,
Uh-huh.
why are you guys doing this particular project?
Why are we doing this particular project as in the embed umununu or folk tales?
The folk tales, we can start from folk tales, and I just kind of want you to zoom into the specific one you chose because it's really interesting.
Well, first of all, I'll say that the reason why I'm doing stuff is
Yeah.
because like a lot of people first of all I started seeing I got into all of this because a lot of people online I saw were talking a lot about what they hate. They were
Okay.
talking about what they don't want. A lot of people were talking about what
Yes.
they don't want. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you know, this culture is taken away from us. This culture is taken away from us.
Ooh, this
These
one's
people
doing
are,
this wrong. That one's doing that wrong.
that
Yeah.
wrong. This our language is dying. This is happening. This is no, Igbo language now want like all these things are happening. And I felt like not a lot enough people were actually doing or putting out what they actually do want.
Right.
And so me personally, I feel like I wanted to be a doer of something that I actually want. I wanted to put something out into the world that I actually did want. And so I wanted to like be an action taker, put something that I wanted into the world. And I feel like that there's a difference in that. There's a different energy when it comes to when you're speaking negatively about what you don't want, because I feel like when you're speaking negatively about what you don't want, you're actually being an activist for that which you don't want. But when you're actually doing what you do want or speaking about what you do want, that is actually creating a catalyst or being a facilitator for those things that you do want into the world. So I
No,
wanted to be
absolutely.
a positive force for the things that I did want to be put into the world. So that's why I'm creating and trying to like manifest more of what I do want into the world. I feel like that's the natural order of things for us to do what we do want in the world and put more of what we do want into the world. So it's like planting a seed. And starting with folk tales and starting with specifically folk tales is important because Igbos have a saying that anaga mu I'm gonna I don't want to get it wrong, but I'm gonna try to
You're
say it
good.
in
Yeah.
Igbo. Anaga mu akanepe na nanka. Anaga
Hey.
mu akanepe nanka, which means
Mhm.
you don't learn to use your left hand in old age.
Yes.
You don't learn to
Yes.
use your left hand in old age.
Right.
So that saying is very important in many ways actually, because first of all, you don't learn to use your left hand is important, as you know, Derek, because you
Mhm.
talk about Igbo spirituality, because akepe is actually kind of like a spirit hand, so it's like you also
Yeah.
don't cultivate your spirit in old age. So
Yeah.
these folk tales are actually part of a spiritual cultivation. So when you're learning things that are very important for your soul, for enriching yourself, you don't
Yeah.
learn them in old age. You start from a young age, you start from youth to
Right.
cultivate those things. You start to embed or imprint on your mind those symbols, those different ideas, those tropes, those different things that are going to come up over and over again, so that when you're older, when you're ready to enter the world, you start being like, oh, 2 + 2 = 4. Oh, so it's like you start from your ABCs. You learn the foundation when you're young, and then you learn your ABCs or your 1, 2, 3s, and then when you're older, then you start saying, oh, 2 + 2 = 4, 2 × 2 = 4, or all two squared is 4, all those things. You start learning the significance of them when you're older. And we'll talk about the significance of the folk tales that we're telling later, but that is the connection between you know, all these things. Like it starts from youth, and that's why it's important. And that's why I wanted to really start with the youth, because a lot of people are talking about what is wrong with a lot of people are talking about what is wrong with quote unquote wrong with, Igbo people or Igbo culture or whatever, or
That
Africa
shit
or
gets on
African
my
people.
nerves so much. Oh my
Annoying because
God.
it's like wrong, like excuse you,
What
what I'm
else do
like,
y'all want?
what do you want? But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like,
My man just took an airplane to London. What do you mean? What's wrong? Like, I don't like,
exactly.
what else do you want?
What more do you want from me? In the words
Right.
of Tyrese.
What's your, not Tyrese, DMX. Was that song talking about? What do you
What,
really
DMX?
want, bro?
Oh, what do you really want
Yeah,
from?
Cisco.
Yeah,
I'm a
like
nigga for life.
that would be a...
Yeah. Yeah.
No, but no, in all
Yeah,
sincerity
no.
though, like it's
I'm
like,
sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead. Go ahead.
no, it's
You're
all
spitting.
good. But in all
Okay,
sincerity,
go
like, what more can you actually expect? What more do people
ahead.
expect? The expectation is
Right.
is
Right.
is much, because in all cultures there's, ihe kwuru kudobeya, like whatever stands, something else stands with it. So there's
Sure.
all these things. Like you have your left hand, you have your right hand in all things.
Mhm.
So we have to do so we have to there's room for criticism, healthy criticism of every culture, but we have to be the activators. We have to be the ones doing things and adding positive things to our culture. We have to be the ones cultivating our youth, doing things for our youth. And there's so many reasons for that. There's so many reasons why we have to be the caretakers of our particular culture. So when you hear all these people saying, grumbling and griping about, things that are going on, you have to turn it back on them and ask them, okay, so what have you done? What have you done? What have you, particularly in your time, in your spare time, with the uburu, with the brain that that you were given, what have you done? And then let the conversation end, because it's not going anywhere.
And
And
I
so
think
that's how I approach life.
yeah, no, we're in a unique situation too, because if you think about being an Igbo person, right? It's
Hmm.
not like the Nigerian government's going to do it. At least if I'm like a professional complainer in America, maybe the government will do it, right? Government's not going to do it. And I think people have complained themselves to the point where they don't realize they're the adults. Like you're the adult in the room. People will be in their deep 40s, deep 50s, deep 30s, the
Hmm.
late 20s, talking about people don't do this, people don't do that. You're people. You know what I
You are
mean?
people.
Yeah. Like you're
Exactly.
all the kids are looking at you like, all right, do it. You know what I mean? That
Hmm.
they're actually thinking you're doing something. When they get to your age and see that you've done nothing, okay, they'll have a different conversation with you. But another thing you said that really resonated was the fact that when you focus your eyes on the negatives, you give it power. So growing up at home, we had this teacher, Miss Anya Buike, and her name is very significant. Great teacher, by the way, but her name was very significant because Anya Buike, your eyes are strength, right? Your eyes are
Hmm.
power. And people don't realize that oftentimes when you're what you give that power to receives it, right? So if you
Yep.
want to, how many years, how many decades did we waste on that? Oh, Igbo people aren't united, BS. How many decades did we waste on that? That was like 3 decades of hearing that over and over and over and over and over. If you pick me up right now and drop me in the middle of Guangdong, China, all I have to do is find an Igbo person, I'll be fine. If you drop me in
Yep.
the middle of Australia, Antarctica, a lot of other people can't say that.
Yeah.
We're still
Oh,
saying this nonsense, saying this nonsense,
I
saying this
believe what
nonsense.
you're saying so much. Anya Buike is a huge thing. There's another saying,
Yeah.
Anya Buike Madu, Anya Buike Madu, which is like
Mm-hmm.
your eye is your share, is your portion. Whatever you see, that's what you get.
Oh, uh-huh,
So it's
uh-huh.
like whatever you're looking at, like that's the thing that will be magnified.
Right,
Like, and that's the thing that we have to understand as people.
right,
Like,
right,
we keep magnifying the like the worst parts of our condition.
right,
But the thing
right,
about it is, there's so many beautiful things in our culture. There's so
right,
many beautiful things in our current circumstance. There's so many beautiful resources that we have at our disposal that are used to unite us. There's
Right.
so many beautiful things. Like the thing that you're saying right now about that Igbo people are divided. There's so many beautiful things about us that unite us,
Right.
that are clearly uniting us as a people, that we share as an identity as Igbo people, from Ijala to to Igbo people from South, all these different divisions that they like to make about Igbo people that are supposedly dividing us. There's so many fundamental things that
Right.
unite us as a people. It's like, instead of you to use that brain power, that energy, to start to in research
Yeah.
and dig up the things that unite us as a people and connect us all, and create maybe some kind of foundation or unity, something to unite us as a people,
And it's
including our
so funny.
folktales. Our folktales are one
Yeah.
of those things that unites us as a people. Instead of us to take those things and unite us as a people, you sit there and just go about, like, we're divided, we're this, we're that, and it's like, what's that doing for us? Nothing.
Such a waste of time. And it's so funny because there are things that, especially if you're living in the West, that are a given that aren't in adequate supply at home. But it wouldn't take that much to contribute. It wouldn't take that much to do something with. The average person with a 9 to 5 job, or the average person with 24 hours of time, can do something to make a lasting, honestly, historical impact, right?
Yeah.
Because if you look at it this way, think of all the resources we have at our disposal in 20 what year is this? 2024,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We can make shows, movies, documentaries. We can make cartoons. We have AI. We can make books, which we don't barely even have to try to make books these days, right?
Yeah,
You
it's
got
so
AI and
easy.
all these different things. You can. There's just so many. You can do something as simple as telling a kid a folk tale.
Yeah.
You don't need to do, that kind of thing. Like to do all these other things I listed, there's some type of concerted effort, but to just take something and pass it to another person, that is going to spread and spread and spread and spread. A lot of the things I share on my channel are things that one person sat me down and said to me, right? One
Yeah.
person said, hey, did you know that, oh, that's interesting, that kind of thing, right? And
Beautiful.
now I've probably shared it with 100,000 people, maybe, right?
Hmm.
That kind of thing. So yeah, no, I really like what you guys are doing. I swear, when I saw the first clips of the cartoon, my jaw dropped. So let me ask you about um Unu Dum itself.
Unu Dum. Yeah.
Unu Dum,
So
no, sorry, sorry.
yeah, it's all good. So Unu Dum is, so let me start by telling the story for those who don't know. Okay.
Okay, yeah,
So Unu Dum is a cartoon, is a folk tale, it's an Igbo folk tale that has been told for generations, about a tortoise. Now, the tortoise is a central character, as Derek has said in many times in the medicine show. Obviously, his channel is based on the tortoise because it's the medicine shell, and this is actually quite a connector, thing, because it's a full circle kind of thing.
absolutely.
Because the shell of the tortoise is obviously used in Igbo cosmology. So the tortoise is a central character in folk tales. So as you can see, it's all connected. So the tortoise is considered the trickster. He's considered the central character. He's the main character in a lot of the Igbo folk tales that you'll hear. In this particular story, the tortoise wants to get, there's a famine in the land, and the tortoise finds out that the birds are happy and they're eating healthy, and they're able to go, they're going and coming and eating healthy, and he's like, what's going on here? Like, what, how come y'all are eating good and we're over here just hungry? And so he goes to the birds, and he, through his cunning ways, convinces them that he would like to give him wings to fly with them to wherever they're going, which we find out is this, to Bechugu, to get to a banquet in Bechugu. So he goes there, and they get food. He gets up to his trickery again while he's in Bechugu. when he gets up to, which is where the word Unu Dum comes from. I'll spare you all the details. We may get into some details while we're here, but the story is very popular. You can find the story in a lot of places. We're just doing it in our own special way. But when he gets to bed, he gets up to his old tricks again, and this ruffles the feathers of the literally of the other birds, and they decide to take his wings. And they're like, nah, you can't be about that conniving trickster stuff up here. So they take his wings, and he has to find his way
Spoiler
back home.
alert, by the way.
Spoiler alert. But I'm telling you the story because it's going to play into some of the stuff I'm going to talk. I wanna
Absolutely,
talk to
yeah.
you about, Derek,
Yeah.
because I feel like there's hidden meanings in this folktale, and I want you to I want us to break it down, and I
Yeah.
want us to talk about, because the folktale is for children, and I feel like children aren't going to watch this broadcast, but their parents might.
Right.
So I want to talk about the meanings in the folktale, and I
Yeah.
want for the parents to understand it, so they can understand the importance of having this folktale for their children. So that's why I'm going into the details of it. So
Absolutely.
yeah. So after that, tortoise falls from the sky, and that's why until today the tortoise has cracks in the back of his shell. So all of that is the general story, but we tell the story in a very colorful, very beautiful way. We wrote a song specifically for the or I don't know if well the team that I'm working with in Nigeria, who are all in Igbo land. They came up with a song. That song is part of the movie, and like, so it's like a musical rendition. It's like a musical version of the akukifo, and we've got it in it's a very colorful, beautifully made rendition. It also has lots of colorful scenes with a lot of hidden Easter eggs and gems and stuff like that, which you'll find throughout the entire thing. There's a lot of things that we want to do that are yet to be done, that we're still kind of working on and building on and creating. And we have a lot of exciting surprises for people that we're still yet to do. But we'll talk about all of that as we go along. I don't want to get ahead of myself, so I'll
Okay.
stop
All
there.
right. Okay. So let me just jump straight to it. What is the hidden meaning inside this story? Because I got so much I want to talk about, and I know you do too. Floor's open. Let us
Floor is
know.
open.
Yeah.
Great. You don't know what you just opened up. Okay. Cause I've been
Let's
doing
go.
research.
Let's
I've been
go.
doing research. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to talk about this because this is the part that a lot of people don't think too hard about. Now, let's start with the word akukifo. Let's start with the word akukifo. It's akoko ifo. Like you hear akoko, people say kola akoko or whatever, right? Akoko is just like, a story talking,
Yeah.
right? It's just ifo is the part that is like, it's like ifo means a wait it's like it's like a revealing, or a revealing or an awakening or something like that, right? Now you hear people say kachifo, right? Or
Okay.
in the same akukifo, right?
Mhm.
Kachifo or akukifo or ifo chapi, right? You hear ifo in on all of you hear fo in all of that, right?
And yes, and so just for those that don't know, Kachifo gets like roughly translated as goodbye, but it literally means until the chi
Kachifo,
reveals it.
good nights, good
It's
nights.
good
It
night,
roughly
yeah, good
translated
night,
good
yeah.
nights, yeah.
But it's really like it's really actually saying until the chi reveals itself again, like
Mm-hmm.
when that kind of
May the
thing.
day break,
So
or
yeah,
until the chi reveals itself again. So it's like a
yeah,
revealing of, like, a revelation. Good,
yeah.
yeah. So so that's how people say good night in Nigeria, in Igbo land, right? So kachifo, or if you're in Imo state, you might say kachibo, but it's the same kind of, it's kind of the same
Yeah.
connotation, like it's the same implications, which is like, may the day reveal itself again. So that akukifo is under the same kind of, it's a revealing. So this actually this actual explanation was something that I picked from Igbo heritage. They are there, so I'll give credit where credit is due. I always try to do that. So I'll mention them. So they do Inner Builder Academy. So I'll just point that out. So Akukifo is about revealing, so or awakening. So it's like, what is what is that awakening? It is a spiritual awakening. So as I said earlier, anagamu aka nepe nampa nanka, you don't learn to use your left hand in in old age, right? So that spiritual awakening must happen in childhood, which is why the akukifo, the awakening, the spiritual awakening, has to happen in childhood, so that you can start to recognize those symbols, those ideas, those things, so that when you're older, they become regular to you. When you hear something like, oh, there's a medicine shell channel, you're like, huh, that you start to put the clues together, and those things will kind of strike to you. You will see certain symbols, and you know they'll make sense to you. It won't be confusing to you. You'll know what to go towards and what to stay away from. Because certain things will make sense to you. There are certain things that being under be having a foundation in will kind of just help you with, if you get exposed to them at a young age. Okay, so akukifo is a good beginning, is a good akukifo is a good spiritual awakening. Another thing that you have to kind of keep in mind is that for the story about the imbe and the wings, knowing that akukifo is like a spiritual awakening. It's a story that reveals information. So when they say ifo chapi, it's like saying ifo chapi, like it has completely shown you everything. So it's like it's left for you to dissect and look at,
Take it in,
understand, as the real, the initiates will say,
yeah.
you
As
will
I, yeah,
understand
yeah.
it. It's left for you to digest and completely fully understand what is
Yeah,
being said.
right.
So Ifo Chatbi has been fully revealed to you. Ifo Chatbi, wow, it's just an explanation.
And you know what's interesting too is that shining, that revelation, it doesn't have to happen right there. You
Hmm.
don't even need to think about it. It might be in 20 years. It might be in
Yeah.
30 years, or it'll be throughout life as you bump into certain things. You're like, oh, that's what that is. Oh, that's what that is. Because one of the things that's interesting is if you look at the Igbo folk tales and you look at the Igbo proverbs, you'll actually see what I've been seeing for a long time is that those proverbs are condensed versions of that revelation that's usually tied to a specific folk tale. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you'll have a proverb and there's a story to it, especially those
Yeah.
really really random ones, right? There's a
Hmm.
story to it, and the child may not know the proverb, but as you get older, the wisdom of that proverb is what has been instilled in you, so you just naturally operate with it. So if you
It's
hear
like,
the proverb, it just clicks, like, of course, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Yeah,
it's like the story of Ojadili, and then it
yeah.
it it, it it like to fight is to fight is, or what is it, to wrestle is life, but to kill is, or to fight is death, or something like that. There's a proverb that says to wrestle bondo, but to fight buomu. I just
Okay,
can't
so
remember the words for that.
ibamba bundo ilog
Ilog
on.
onwu.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
okay.
yeah, so it's like there's a proverb that says that, But
I've
like,
told my son that story like 20 times, and I have never heard that proverb. So I'm so glad you shared it because I'm gonna start squeezing it in there. So that is dope. But that's the
yeah,
whole, that's the whole lesson of the thing anyway, right? But yeah.
yeah. So if you're fighting, like, yeah, so there's all those in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me get to the point of the Mbe story. So the secret hidden meaning that I've discovered in the Mbe story
Uh-oh.
really boils down to this. Basically, the tag is this: your individual gains. Wait, let me look away and then look back real quick. Okay. Your individual gains, right, will not help you when the time comes because Igwebike, right?
Yeah.
So this is why. So first of all, Mbe, right? Mbe is like, if you think about how African nations borrow, right? This is actually another explanation that I heard from another teacher. But
Okay.
African nations borrow from the West, from Russia, from China, from different people, right?
Yeah.
It's like how Mbe borrowed wings, borrowed
Yes.
feathers from different birds to
Yeah.
build wings so that he can
Sure.
ascend to somewhere that he was not quite prepared or quite qualified to
Right.
enter into yet, to
Yeah.
Bechuku. So borrowing without being qualified. But not only did he qualify, did he borrow by he borrowed. He went through trickery. And then when he went there, he started to zuzugare. He went there and started acting up. He entered into Bechuku
Onyachiroro. Good.
and started to zuzugare. And then and then the wings were taken from him. So this is something that another teacher was saying, that he went into Bejugu. So what he was saying is that in addition to having those wings, when you're given something that that's from some when you're borrowing, when
Yeah.
you're given something from somebody, he was saying that this teacher was saying that the government, like when you come here on earth, when you come to this earth from in your spiritual form, things like entities like the government, the religious bodies, teachers, your parents, these these entities are like the no, no, no. They give you wings. They give you these feathers to help you to fly while you're here on earth, but you are still responsible. So one of the things that they kind of require from you, because you become sort of like the image of them, like by Mbed taking wings, by the tortoise taking wings, he becomes an image of a bird,
Comes one of
right?
the
He
birds.
looks
Yeah.
like he looks like a bird, right? You kind of become a reflection of the bird, but he still owes a certain loyalty to that bird. So it's kind of an idea of fall, because you still have a rule. There's a rule involved, right?
Yeah.
You still have to show some kind of loyalty to that bird, to that entity that first gave you the wing. So you have to you don't just go there for yourself. You're not just going to Bechuku for yourself. You're going to Bechuku both for yourself and for the one that sent you or brought you or gave you the access, you know? So you're going there to represent them in a sense. So in a way, you have to be careful. Well, first of all, you'll be careful who you borrow from, but then you're gonna you're gonna be careful. You're gonna abide by the rules of
Mhm.
those to which you are beholden to.
Yeah.
Because in all these Igbo folk tales and Igbo proverbs and Igbo idioms, because there's a lot of wisdom in the Igbo culture, in all these Igbo folk tales, there's always some kind of rule. There's always some kind of social contract
Yeah.
that we have in everything.
All
And
for no.
these things will give you akonuche, these things will give you sense about how to deal with people in the world.
And it's interesting because it kind of shows you that when you're not ready for that support, when you're not ready for that door to be opened for you, once you get into that place, right?
Yep.
If you don't, if things don't go right, or if you mess up, the fall is a lot greater
Oh yeah.
than that
Oh yeah.
that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's that in there, and it's something that I like. That's something that I myself even had to learn with everything that I'm doing. I'm sure you guys have learned it because you guys are putting it in practice,
Yeah.
and so forth. Yeah, it's just kind of like, and then there's another thing in there too,
Mm-hmm.
where if you look at that story and you look at particular things in Igbo culture and how it starts making sense,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because if a person takes a title, a chieftaincy title, right, especially like Ozo, Nze, that kind of thing, they've more or less declared that they are on a like, or they're a righteous person, they are an actualized person, they're moving in the correct direction, that kind of thing. And then what
Mm-hmm.
does the community do? They put a feather on there, right?
Boom. Yep.
Anytime, even sometimes I'll see the concept of Ogun, like again, hard to translate, but let's call it kind of karma, retribution, balance, that kind of thing. Anytime
Yeah.
that thing's being represented, it's with a feather. Even
Mm-hmm.
in ancient Egypt, Kemet, it's with a
Yeah.
feather, right? So
Yep.
what happens? The birds go to Bechuku, Obichuku, right?
Mm-hmm.
They come back. The birds have a certain character, right? And that's what
Mm-hmm.
allows them to enter that place. They
Mm-hmm.
lend that character to Umbe. They go, okay, you want to go to here. Here's a feather, here's a feather, here's a feather. Wow, you got wings now, let's go, right? They
Mm-hmm.
take him up there. He doesn't act like them. He acts like himself. He does,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
He acts like his damn self, and they go, "Oh no, we can't have this guy up here." They rip the feathers off. They throw him off.
And he goes
I don't
back.
know. So I made a video recently, and I told the story of like the CIA's experimentations in astral projection.
I watched
Right?
that. I love that video, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I tell the story of the CIA's, and I'm just going to be really quick about what it is for those who didn't see the video. But the Russians figured out that astral projection is real. And then the CIA is like, oh, word. And so the CIA starts trying to figure out how to do it. Um, they both sides figure out how to do it. You understand? But of course, the Russians are a little bit more ahead than the Americans because they started first. So the Americans figure out how to do it. They do a few experiments. It works. Little experiments here and there. Then the
Mm-hmm.
Americans have the thought, okay, what if we can use this to kill people, right? Because that's just what it is. What if we can use this? That's just what time we're on, right? What if we can use this to kill people, right? And so they begin practicing how to weaponize the thing, and slowly they start seeing that the people that they're doing the experiments with, they keep dying. They keep dying, or like they'll be in meditation and they just will not return back to their body. They're just gone, that kind of
Yeah.
thing. And so one person went and came back and said that when I went there, there was this woman who was summoning me, right? Like a beautiful foreign woman that was summoning me.
Yeah.
And that he wants to go back and see her, right? So he locked his doors, he went back into the astral state, and he never came back, right? Now, the Russians now write to the Americans, hey, you're not supposed to mess around in this place, by the way, that kind of thing, which tells me that they also encountered the same thing when they had the same thought, and they turn like, hey, chill out on this thing, that kind of thing, right? So then they
Yeah.
go to an old Kemetic like inscription, and it's the story of a man saying his astral projection experience. And when he was there was a guardian there, and that guardian is the doorkeeper of the righteous. That if you are coming into this space with for something other than righteousness, you're going to be destroyed by her. You're going to be attacked. You're going to be torn down. You're not returning to your body, that kind of thing, right? So I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying all this to say that there is an esoteric cosmological bedrock in that story. It's not just, oh, Mbe was
You got
acting
it.
crazy. This
You
thing
got it.
literally happens in astral space.
Yep.
Mbe was the Americans. He went up there and said, oh, now that I'm up here, let me see if I can get everybody's food, right? And the bird
Yep.
said, oh, really? Get out of here, that
Taking
kind of
your
thing.
wings, you're down.
Right.
Now, let me add on to your let me add another feather to your cap.
Go
So,
ahead.
in the same way, you see the story of King Arthur and the sword and the stone. It's like
Exactly.
you if you don't if it's like you if you don't qualify, you can't get to the next, you can't ascend to the next, or you won't be allowed to get to the next, you know, what do you call it, a level
level
kind of
maybe.
thing.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah, you
I know.
won't
I
be
just said
allowed to get to
level.
the
Yeah.
next. Yeah, exactly. So that's one of those things that they put in the folk tales and the nursery rhymes of like all cultures have it, because this is something that is
Mm.
natural to the human existence. This
It's
is natural to
real.
the spiritual element of humanity. And actually
Mm.
in other cartoons that they have, I found out that, like, if there's a reason why some of the oldest cartoons that we have, even in American culture, have classical music in it, because there's actually a an occultic origin to classical music. There's a reason why classical music is so preserved in in Western culture. Just go on Google and search occultic origins of classical music. You'll find so much information about, like, you'll see information about the right, like you'll see sonnets and ballads that are like the right of the rights of something or whatever, classical music written by, different Bach, or Mozart, or different classical music composers. And many of them were into different things which were called witchcraft, which is actually about what do you call it, just their form of science back in those days.
Right.
But that is the way that they practiced and understood the world around them in those days,
Right.
and that is what was ultimately created into their cosmology in those days, and it is preserved. You think that everybody has converted, or doing something else right now, but it's actually preserved, and it was in Looney Tunes. If you listen to the time when Roadrunner or Wile E. Coyote or Bugs Bunny or whoever is running around, they're playing classical music during those little escapades in all those Fantasia,
Yeah.
all classical music. What was the name of that cartoon? I think it was Fantasia. Was the
No,
one that
Fantasia
was the
barely
cartoon
hides.
that won a
Yeah.
Oscar?
I think it's Fantasia, the Mickey Mouse with the.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, that one. It's classical music, and all of those are done with and all classical music is done based on that. So you'll find all of those have origins in all of that. So if you look it up, you'll find this information. It's very open. It's very open and out there for people who are classical music connoisseurs. And that is why they preserve that information. They preserve the classical music. They put it in the cartoons. You still know the cartoons. You still know the classical music, because they're preserving that information. They're making you classical music lovers, so that you're preserving their culture, you're preserving their history, you're preserving their knowledge, and they will always have that. So when things happen, you will go back and like, for example, there was a time when there was a chapel, there was a church that was burning in France, about
Oh,
in like
yeah.
2019 or something like that. I can't remember when, but there was a big
Yeah.
church that was burning down.
When all them Africans were talking about pray for France and all that,
There was everybody was saying pray for
when
France,
all them
because there was a
Africans were
huge
yeah,
ancient
yeah,
chapel that was burning down, and it had those gargoyles
yeah,
on it, and some people were like, oh, look at these gargoyles, is this really a church? But then everybody was donating, even our own leaders, African leaders, who were not taking care of their
yeah,
own citizens, were donating millions and
yeah,
billions
yeah.
of dollars to preserve this burning church in France. And they were saying pray for
Right.
France. Meanwhile, France is taxing many African nations in the same breath. And so
Yeah.
we're donating to them while they're taxing our nations. And so
Imagine
these types of this is the way that they're doing it, because they put the culture in,
they put it in you.
they put it in you.
Yeah.
So that's why they have the classical music. That's why they have the symbols. That's why they have all those things in those cartoons. When you're watching Disney Channel, when you're watching all their cartoons, when you're watching all their stuff, it's all there, training your children so that when you grow up, when they grow up, they will have that loyalty to, you
Yes.
have that loyalty to their culture, basically, and not your own.
Absolutely. Oh wow. Absolutely. And you put it in the most perfect words imaginable. And think about that. Think of how long the Looney Tunes ran for.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I doubt it was that advertisers were running to advertise on the next Daffy Duck, wah, 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 that kind of thing. I doubt that. That Looney Tune situation ran for a long time, from the 30s till when I was at least a young adult. And I'm sure they've brought it back and so on and so. It's playing somewhere sometime. Tom and Jerry as
Absolutely.
well. Tom and
Tom and
Jerry as
Jerry.
well.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, Tom
Our
and Jerry
people
as
know Tom
well.
and Jerry so much. Yeah.
Yeah, and Tom and Jerry is freakishly esoteric. And it's
Mm-hmm.
got the same thing, it's the same classical music and all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's programming. It's programming. All of that is programming. With Tom and Jerry, I see it's the spell of opposites. There's this thing in the Western mind about if two things are different, they must fight. And so implanting that into young, right? They teach you in school, and I bring this up a lot, but they teach you in school, oh, the opposite of dog is cat. That shit doesn't mean anything anywhere in nature. It's not a thing. It's not real. It's not, but if you tell a kid opposite of dog, they say cat. And then they see the cartoons where the dogs and the cats are chasing each other, chasing each other, chasing each other, right?
Yep.
So then what happens when you're an adult and they say, that's the enemy over there? They're not
Yeah.
like us. What do? Chase, 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 fight,
Chase,
fight,
chase,
fight.
chase.
Okay, they're gonna start
Mm-hmm.
chasing me, right? It's the spell of opposites. That's why our sports industry is what it is. That's why there's so much, even our businesses, right? Like I make Pepsi, I make Coke, and then grown ass man will, I'm loyal to Pepsi, and then I'll just go hard so that Pepsi wins the fight. That kind of
Yeah.
kind of thing, right? But it's
Yeah.
already been planted in you. These are the levers and the controls and things like that. So I'm gonna come back to you guys' project. I'm gonna come back to your cartoon because I feel that what you're doing is going to free us from like the Coco Melon Looney Tunes kind of contraption that our kids are kind of in right now. So let me ask you this. Um, what what was the process for putting all of this together? Like, how did you do it?
Well, so first of all, this is just
All
it's
right,
such a
next question. No,
I
good.
know, right? Like
Yeah.
where do I even begin?
Yeah.
Because this project has been a while in the making. First, we started with akukifo.com, which was a
Mhm.
podcast where it was just me and my friend who was in Nigeria. We were collecting akukifo from his mom.
Awesome.
Um, Ochatike, we were collecting akukifo from his mom, and we were posting them on a podcast called on akukifo.com. We're just creating a podcast, and she was just telling us all these akukifo from that she knew from her own childhood, and we're just collecting them as like an archive. And so we were just recording them and putting them there. And a lot of the akukifo she knew had had songs involved and stuff like that. And we're just like, and so one day we were like, oh, this, would be really cool if we would put these, if we made these into a book. So that was the first thing that we wanted to do. So we started to make that attempted that, but then we happened upon the idea of creating a an animation of um well, first we started doing this thing with puppets during the coronavirus pandemic,
Yeah.
and we did this thing with puppets. We During that period of time we were like, hey, let's, I don't know, everybody was just, it seemed like during that period of time people were just coming up with ideas. It was
I'm telling
like
you.
it was just like a time where people were just coming up with wild ideas. So we just came up with this idea to do a puppet show, to do like an Igbo Sesame Street
Mhm.
kind of thing. So we created this character Maziago, which is a leopard puppet, um, where who we were going to be our signature character for, who would just teach kids about different concepts in Igbo land. And so I would have so I'll chat and different people in Igbo land would voice these, and I would work with them to come up with the scripting and things of that nature, and we would just make these episodes. And so ultimately, it had like a lot of really good feedback on Facebook, and we put them on YouTube and things like that. So we went on for a while doing this, but we decided one day, but we did a little animation in the beginning of the Maziago thing, where we had an animation of Maziago blowing a Aja flute, and he just was it was just a little intro. But the animator who did that, I believe that either him or he did a different animation for us, but we met an animator in Enugu who was able to animate something for us, and he did an amazing job. He was just very professional. We loved working with him, and we were like, hey, we're doing this children's channel. Um, would you like to work with us for other things? And so we tried him out doing another animation for a song that we did, which was just the Igbo alphabet song. And so it was an Igbo alphabet song that was composed by the same Ochatike and some people that we worked with. And and that video went bananas on, like, everybody who heard that song and watched that cartoon was like, where has this been all my life? This is amazing. My child is learning the Igbo alphabet without even, like,
Right.
can't even
And
talk,
that's
and they're
how
singing the
kids
Igbo alphabet.
learn.
Yeah.
That's how kids learn. I don't like, even with my own son, I don't really sit him down and teach him all these things that I
Mm-hmm.
teach, like, people in our community and things like that. But I'll tell him the stories.
Mm-hmm.
And then if we ever get into a conversation about something that's kind of, he starts filling in gaps for me, you know?
Yeah.
And it's because he has the story. And
Yeah.
that's really all the story and the song. My daughter's on a
Exactly.
song. She has to hear the song. She hears the song. She's in, right? And
Exactly.
really all it takes is let them just watch these. If you don't know the story, if maybe you're not a good storyteller, maybe you're shy, maybe you've just never had access to the story, having it in cartoon form where they can see it play out. And there's growing up, I knew a bunch of episodes from SpongeBob and things like that. If they can know their culture and the wisdom of their ancestors, the way we walk around and we know Ren and Stimpy and SpongeBob and Johnny Bravo and them, that's transformative.
Yeah.
That's transformative because I'm sorry, go ahead. I think I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, you're absolutely right. And that's the thing. Like, we played that Igbo alphabet song for children in America who couldn't talk, who had never heard Igbo, and they were singing the Igbo alphabet. And that's when we knew we had something. We were like, wow, this is beautiful. And so we were like, okay, let's try something else. And so that's what kind of led us into this one. And the story of Mbe and the birds, we were like, this is one of the kind of classical stories, classic tales of Igbo culture, so let's go with this one. And we just went ahead, and the rest is history.
Awesome. I'm really glad you guys are doing it. So working across like the Atlantic, working with a team in Nigeria, I'm sure that comes with a lot of challenges and things like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, it comes with challenges. It does come with challenges. The challenges aren't, let me think, of there any challenges that are like,
Udochi, hold on. I gotta answer the door. Give me a minute.
yeah, for
Yeah, yeah. All right, no.
it's all good.
No, I was doing my wife, but you can do it to you as
Oh.
well. All right. Oh, let me go close the
um
door. Give me a minute. Sorry.
Okay.
All right. Okay, continue. So we're talking about the challenges that you
Oh,
guys are.
challenges, you know, I would say, it's hard to talk about. It's hard to even think about challenges working with people, and because the thing about it is, one of the greatest challenges that I feel like I faced in terms of working with people in Nigeria, um has just been understanding. It has been like, obviously, like culture, like, first of all, like cultural differences
Yeah.
in the beginning.
Yeah.
And so once so but the core team of working that works with me on this project, we've known each other for, it's going on 7 years now.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, so we've been working together on Igbo projects for up to for like 7 years now, and maybe like we've known each other for a little bit more than that, but we've been working on Igbo, specifically Igbo projects, for going on 7 years, and that initial like friction about like understanding each other culturally, knowing where each other is coming from, um, has kind of dissipated. And so that was the main thing. And so understanding and knowing that we do have that longevity, we do have that staying power, we are able to work together, we are able to build on each other, build a strong foundation with each other, and keep moving and going forward, is like, to me, there's no,
Right.
that was the biggest thing that was like, you know but it's been real, it's been a real, like, the growing pains were there, and now I'm like, yeah, this is a team that I feel like I'm gonna be. And one of the things is that I'm very passionate about Igbo culture. Just like you, Derek, I'm very passionate about Igbo culture. I'm very passionate about the Igbo community. I'm basically very passionate about the work that I'm doing, and I feel like it's something that I'm gonna be doing for the rest of my life.
It's
So
interesting.
yeah, that's something that motivates me every single day. It's something that wakes me up every single day. I feel like somehow, some way, I'm gonna always find my way into, I'm gonna be in this space. So this is something that and that's the reason why I'm building it, is because so that I can be in this space. I'm building something that will keep me in this space, and that will lead me to, you know, um, to be able to be in my culture.
Never mind. No, you know, when people start making statements like you're making, you know that their chi has shown them the road, right? You know that it's it, there's a lot of conviction in what you're saying. And then I'm seeing it as well in the work, because it's not just that you're making cartoons, but the quality level is incredible. And the fact that you're also kind of not kind of, just absolutely, you're platforming the animation capacity at home, because a lot of people in the West have have a lot of ideas that they would like animated, and typically if you want things animated, you got to go to South Korea or Japan and that kind of thing. But you're seeing the animation capacity at home. You're seeing that it's a pretty seamless process from what you're describing. If you're willing to just understand and respect each other culturally, which isn't that big of a gap, that's very possible. So I've always thought that we have so many stories as a people, not just Igbo people, but Africans on the continent, in diaspora, all over the world, have so many stories that if we really took to and really started animation, it would be like what we've done with music and all these other things, and nobody'd see our back, as they say at home, right? And you
Absolutely.
guys are really pioneering that, so that's incredible. I really tip my hat um, on that. So let me ask you this. what's the plan for the future, or what does the future look like for you guys? Let's say we launch the current project, or you guys launch the current project, and it goes seamlessly, and goes to where it deserves to be, and I fully believe it will go. What do you guys see in the future?
So we have like a lot of things planned in the future. So first of all, obviously we're building onto something, right?
Yeah,
We're hoping that with the launch of the Kickstarter project, we are going to be able to raise funds to the um finish the animation so that we can be able to platform it and bring it to the world first and foremost. So once we get it out there and we're able to launch it, and if we're able to raise, because I've seen a lot of Kickstarter projects. I recently saw a Kickstarter project that got fully funded. They were
right.
trying to raise. I think I donated to that Kickstarter project. By the way, I bought like they have different, usually on Kickstarter they have different levels. They have like you can get like a ticket to the premiere. You can get a director. You can become a director to the movie, or you can, yeah, different things that they have like as prizes. So one of the things that I got, I think I got like a ticket to the premiere. So I was like, oh yeah, I definitely want to see this movie. Like, come on. So I got like the ticket to the premiere for the Marvel movie. So I'm happy to say that I was a contributor to that project because I thought as something that was needed. And I'm always happy to contribute to people who do stuff like that, to do stuff for our community. Um, but um one of the things that that's one of the things that we're doing. So a lot of Kickstarter projects get overfunded. So I saw one Kickstarter project that was Hair Love, and Hair Love was overfunded. It was their goal was to fund their project to like I think like I don't remember how much they were going their goal was, but they got like $100,000 or something like that for their project. And I was like, wow, this is wonderful. But the thing about that is that they are one thing that they usually do with that is they build they create more, and it will tell you what they're creating with more. And so and if they become, and if they're underfunded, they get nothing. So that's how Kickstarter works. So we set our goal modestly.
Oh,
We
them.
set our goal pretty modestly, which you will see. We set our goal pretty modestly compared to other projects, which you will see. And then, because we're hoping that we can at least be able to meet our goal, and
Yeah.
then hopefully overfund our goal, because what that's our actual target is to overfund our goal, because what we really want is for us to be able to take do more than just the Unu Dum project. We want to animate other um we want to animate other Igbo folk tales beyond just Unu Dum. We want to do longer Unu Dum projects. We want to do longer Igbo folk tales, and we also want to create Igbo folk tale. We also want to create Igbo folk tales and put them on platforms like. We don't want to just put them on YouTube. We want to put them on platforms like Netflix. We want to approach platforms like, Netflix, Amazon Prime, and things of that nature, so that we can put them out there for the world's consumption. So in the future, my hope and my goal is to make a series of Igbo folk tales. Potentially put that
That's what I
series,
wanted to hear. All right.
yes, a series
Awesome.
of
I love
Igbo
that.
folk tales, including songs for each one inside of each folk tale. Get a
Mhm.
team, bigger team, because we do have a team of animators that is working on the current folktale, but like get a bigger team, like more people to like support our current team, because right now our current team is a little bit overworked. And so we want to get more people to we're going to be able to fund to build that team out.
No, absolutely. I completely understand. Yeah, no, and I have full faith in the fact that you guys can make this happen because already I saw that Chief Pete Edochie was
Yeah.
was one of your viewers and gave his endorsement for what you guys were doing.
Yep.
I saw you guys on a couple news outlets. And again, it just goes to show that when you do the one that your passion says do, there's really nothing in your way. And speaking for the village, the medicine shell community, we are fully behind you. You have been behind me and my efforts for a very long time. One thing that we all know about you, Udochi, is that if anybody is doing something that supports, that promotes, and that grows people's access to their culture, you're right there, and you don't ask for anything back. You don't, you're always ready to, you've approached the growth of everything that so many of us are doing so selflessly and with so much passion and with so much care and so much intelligence. You've contributed the contributions of your mind have been incredible. That I think, the universe is ready to do the same for you. And it will, if it's by my hands, if it's by the hands of anybody watching, then we're going to make that happen for you.
He
So
said,
you say yes.
thank you.
What's funny, we jumped in
Yeah.
the conversation so fast. I wanted to break Audrey for you, but we'll do that to
Oh,
the end. I didn't even get we'll
okay.
break Audrey for you, don't worry. So before we do all that, what is the Kickstarter? Like, how do we get to the Kickstarter?
Oh, okay. So the Kickstarter, I'll give you the link to that.
Okay.
I'll give you the link to that so that you can put it in the description or something.
Okay, no.
But the Kickstarter is basically Kickstarter is like a platform where people do fundraisers. So you see sometimes see people doing a GoFundMe or something like that.
Mhm.
Kickstarter is another one of those as another one of those crowdfunding platforms.
Very cool.
So
Yeah.
basically, Kickstarter gives you 30 days to raise the funds that you need. Unlike
30 days.
30 days. So
Oh,
GoFundMe,
okay.
yeah, GoFundMe is one of those platforms where that you could just put your link up and you leave it up there forever, and then whoever comes by will be able to do whatever. But like Kickstarter, you set an amount in 30 days. If you don't raise your amount, they will you lose everything basically. So this is a Hail Mary, okay? This is a this is this is a touchdown
Okay.
pass.
Oh,
This is
damn. Okay.
a
I didn't know it was pressure.
this is no.
But
Well, there's no pressure. There's no pressure, but
there's
there is
pressure
pressure.
because I'm wearing pressure. There's pressure.
He's a Biko
Yeah,
and
I didn't know it
pressure.
was a 30-day thing. So no, I mean, you'll get there. I know you're gonna get there. I don't have a doubt in my heart that you're gonna get there. And so forth. Is there any other places that we can watch? I know you guys have the YouTube channel. How do we watch your work so far? I know Ikenga Nation.
So
Mutadiuta. Go ahead.
the yeah, so the primary place you can watch. So we have we have the Maziagu TV YouTube. Okay, actually we changed it to Mutadiota. So Mutadiota is the YouTube channel where you can watch the cartoon is the children's channel.
Adama.
So there's it's youtube.com/ at Maziago.
Okay.
So you'll be able to go there and find all the animations, the children's Igbo Egu Abeche, which is the song, the children's Igbo alphabet song, which is perfect for learning the Igbo alphabet for youngsters, for grown-ups too. Anyone who wants to learn the Igbo alphabet, I
Yeah.
highly recommend that song. You will be able to say the entire Igbo alphabet after listening to that song, as many times as you need to learn that song. And
Mhm.
then we have like 3 channels. So we have that one.
All right. So I would love to see anybody who is able, anybody who's willing, anybody who has the heart to contribute to what Udochi is doing. She has a Kickstarter. I'm going to put the link at the bottom of the screen. I'm also going to put the link below. We're trying to hit this goal within 30 days. Within 30 days, 30 days is the time limit that Kickstarter gives. This is the beginning of something incredible. I think that once you guys put this out there, we can really show the capacity we have at home to create stories, to animate stories, and to share stories. And once those doors are open, that you guys are pioneering, I think it's also going to open the floodgates for others to come and share their own. This is going to give us a way of teaching our children things that were difficult for us to learn, especially those of us in diaspora, teaching our children things that were difficult for us to learn, and imbuing within them the spirit or the seeds of the spirit, right? More and more that's going to grow with them as they go, and grow with them as our ancestors intended, not the ancestors of Tom and Jerry, not the damn ancestors of Coco Melon, the ancestors of Motadiu, the ancestors of Ajana Igbo, the ancestors of Ajana and the Africa worldwide. All right. So yeah, contribute what you can. This is going to be a success. I know it's going to be a success. And Udochi, I'm really grateful that you came here and had this conversation with us.
Thank you. I'm grateful for coming, and I'm grateful that you had me here. So thank you so much, Derek, for having me on your platform. It's been such a treat. Thank you so much.
We'll do it again. We'll do.